This episode is proudly dedicated to the dumbest thing a caravanner has ever said to me more than once. Highlighted on this occasion by one of you who emailed me because he was confronted by exactly this proposition of effluent hauling non-logic and reached out to me for advice, deeply concerned, earlier today. I suppose if you put 1 million caravanners in a room and gave them each a laptop, eventually one of them would come up with something intelligent. But I really wouldn't be breath-holding on that one.
I love watching your videos and really appreciate your information. I use one piece of information you use regularly regarding towing recently and discussion and was challenged on it. You say that whatever the towing limits are on a vehicle taking into account GVM, GCM, etc., you probably shouldn't tow more than the weight of the vehicle you're doing the towing with. People have said to me, what about semi-trailers? So can I ask you, how does a truck tow its load and remain safe?
Dude, thanks for reaching out. Understand the concern, appreciate the kind words, I really do, but I've heard all of this before with monotonous, nauseating regularity, like,
yeah, well, if a semi can do it, then why can't I?
Seems terribly discriminatory when you put it like that, like,
why can't I?
Meanwhile, however, back on Earth, Isaac Newton says that anyone who cannot see the difference between a semi-trailer and a light vehicle such as your gorgeous Hilux from the country's preeminent deceptive and misleading car maker towing your beautiful shitbox caravan full of effluent, his and hers, well, Mr. Newton says they really need to go back in time and remain awake at school. Perhaps get that other brain cell fired right up. The prime mover of a semi-trailer carries roughly half the weight of the trailer, like slightly less, but roughly half, plus, of course, its own weight. Therefore, it's quite stable. The front half of the trailer is supported between the prime mover's two very substantial rear axles, using springs to match and 8 heavy-duty truck tyres to stop its ass from dragging on down the highway. The whole thing's actually very carefully worked out, generally by people who were awake at school and who limited their time daydreaming about boobies to no more than 35% of each lesson. This was a dead set struggle for me, I have to say, but hey, I managed it. I used that 35%, every square inch of it, to get by when the going got tough. And boobies were more uplifting back then, less stigmatised kind of thing. Anyway, to help you out, as a thought experiment, why don't we just shift the axles on your beautiful 3.5-tonne off-road caravan all the way to the rear and put the front of the drawbar on a tow ball located precisely between your vehicle's rear wheels. And that would be basically how a semi-trailer does it. This would mean a few inconvenient things, such as roughly 1,750 kilos of tow ball download, so good luck with that. You'd need a new chassis, new axles, new suspension, extra tyres. You'd need to ditch the rear seat and the cargo bay. Hashtag just details. And then you'd have a car and a caravan configured exactly like a semi-trailer. Yes, well done. Alternatively, as another, perhaps even more entertaining mad thought experiment, we could just redesign a semi-trailer to be just like your own personal vehicular shitbox, towing your own personal caravan shitbox, and see exactly what a neat idea that might be. We could start by reconfiguring the trailer of the semi-trailer, perhaps place the wheels roughly under the centre of the trailer like a seesaw, only sufficiently rearward to deliver just 10% of the load to the prime mover. And then perhaps we could daydream uplifting death race dreams about just how fucking stable that might be at 100 k's an hour. I would argue that one has to be truly, epically desiccated, doggy-doo-doo dumb, completely scientifically illiterate, virtually dead from the neck up, not to see that these two propositions, car versus semi-trailer, are wildly different things. Just wildly different. Were it not for the sobering evidence of my inbox, I would be unable to believe that people this stupid actually exist. But they do. Semi-trailers should not reasonably be used as a case for the prosecution in the trial for allowing the room temperature IQ beard-stroking genius to tow a ridiculously heavy caravan. Mainly because physics said that this is a bad idea, and physics doesn't actually give a shit how you might feel about that, you beard-stroker. I keep harping on that towing a caravan is really a road-going intelligence test. If you do it, you fail. But it's hardly for your benefit, this test. This is why those acoustically transparent porta slums exist. To identify the stupid so that the rest of us can maintain minimum safe separation on the highway. Mommy, look up ahead. There's another stupid man. Best get ready. Anything might happen. What's really most depressing here, to me at least, is that these turd of Great Dane for brains individuals are not even smart enough to look at the evidence. Semi-trailers perform differently and are configured quite differently to SUVs towing outback effluent land carriages, are they not? These people are not even smart enough to identify that and reframe to a smarter question, which would be, what's different about semi-trailers that allows them to haul these disproportionate loads comparatively safely? If a person uses the existence of semi-trailers as a purported repudiation of the entirely reasonable contention not to tow a rolling hovel heavier than the shitbox towing it, I would argue that you're looking at incontrovertible evidence that you're conversing with a properly Dunning-Kruger individual. Exactly the kind of individual who should not, in my estimation, operate heavy machinery, but who may, legally in this country at least, with no additional qualifications, at speeds up to 100 k's an hour, driving in close proximity to you and your family. Yes. Speaking from bitter personal experience, I'd suggest it's unlikely you could have a rational discussion involving facts and science with a beard-stroking wombat such as that.